Let me just ask you the question in simple terms again, because you've sent mixed signals over the years. Are you an African-American woman?
I identify as black.
You identify as black.
Okay, so this is a crazy story about the first transracial person to come out and get exposed. Now, in America, we have this issue where there are physical realities and there are people who feel like they're something else. So, in some cases, people feel like the opposite sex. So, for instance, like I would say I feel like a woman, and then I would go and say I am a woman. I can play women's sports. I'm a woman. Just treat me as a woman, no matter what my biology is. I identify as a woman.
This issue, people like to say that it's a complicated issue, and I don't actually think it is. I think it's very simple. It all boils down to, do you actually think that trans women and intersex women are real women and are really female or not? And if you do, it's very simple. Just stop policing who counts as a real woman.
So as you can see, what is a woman is nebulous, right? Whatever you want it to be. If you're a man, and just say you're a woman, and you must be treated as an actual female. It's gotten to the point where you can't even define what the word woman means, as Matt Walsh has exposed in his What is a Woman series. Check it out.
Can a man become a woman?
I'm not a woman, so I can't really answer that.
Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is? Do you want to tell us what a woman is?
So as you see, nowadays you can identify as whatever. The words actually have no meaning. What is a woman? Who the hell knows? I don't know. You don't know. Who knows? But this can be extended to other things, right? Because if biology doesn't determine if you're a man or a woman, then how does biology determine if you're black or white? I, being a black man, I can identify as a woman, but I can also identify as a white man, right? What's stopping me from doing so? And Piers Morgan on his show called this out when a trans activist was trying to say this, you can identify to be anything. So he said, okay, I can identify to be a black lesbian.
Whatever that person decides, but to go out into the world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I was born as.
So why can't I identify, okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
Well, I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
I think
we're
that's
talking about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said ridicules trans people, because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has, and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous.
Because it is ridiculous. But now I have to take you to the case of Rachel Dolezal. Now, she was a white woman who, as you saw earlier, identifies as being black.
Her name is Rachel Dolezal. She was a respected civil rights activist who people believed was black, and then she was exposed as a white woman.
Rachel Dolezal, a white woman born to white parents, had been living as a black woman for years, until she was exposed by her parents as being biologically white.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question.
Are your parents, are they white?
Dolezal's perceived racial appropriation started a national debate. Can you choose your race? Many African Americans said no, you cannot.
I don't consider myself an African American, but I do identify as black.
Dolezal was so entrenched in the black community that she was an outspoken civil rights advocate and even president of her local chapter of the NAACP. What Dolezal called her authentic self, others considered a fraud. Black commentators called her blackface. The media labeled her mentally ill and said she had cheated black people out of positions that were rightfully theirs.
If people felt misled or deceived, then I'm really sorry for that. But I believe that says more about their construct of race in their own minds than it does about my honesty.
As the storm surrounding her grew, the single mother of 3 found herself without a job or respect. She had effectively been canceled and told to just go away.
5 years later, I am still in survival mode. I'm stuck in a holding pattern until the dam breaks, but I'm not hiding away. I know who I am.
So obviously the question would be, if it's okay for someone to identify as a man if they're a woman, then why isn't it okay for someone to identify as black if they're white, right? It's the same thing. It's about how you feel, not about what you are. But obviously that doesn't go over well because people are like, hey, you're taking this foolishness to another level, right? Even though where it's at is crazy, right now we're going a little too crazy. So this woman was outed and eventually she lost everything.
Rachel Dolezal, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good, nice to see you too.
You've had a busy week. All the headlines, top trending item on Twitter. You resigned your post at the NAACP, and you've started a discussion on race and what it means in this country. Did this come as a surprise to you, or did you always expect the lid would be blown off your story at some point?
The timing of it was a shock. I mean, wow. The timing was completely unexpected. As to the second question, I did feel that at some point I would need to address the complexity of my identity.
Let me just say, we can't talk about the big picture that you have created without talking about the small picture first.
Right.
Let me just ask you the question in simple terms again, because you've sent mixed signals over the years. Are you an African American woman?
I identify as black.
You identify as black. Let me put a picture up of you in your early 20s, though. Mm-hmm. And when you see this picture, is this an African American woman, or is that a Caucasian woman?
That's not in my early 20s, but...
That's a little younger, I guess? Yeah.
I think I was 16 in that picture.
Is she a Caucasian woman or an African American woman?
I would say that visibly she would be identified as white by people who see her.
So it's clear. This woman is all in as identifying as black. And I'm going to say, if you think this is absurd, then how can you justify the transgender argument too? Because it's the exact same argument. It's not about what I see, what you see here as a black man. It's about what I tell you I am. I'm a white woman, right? You accept the woman part, but you won't accept the white part. Why? They're both the same. I can't change my gender. I can't do it. It's physically impossible. It's physically impossible for me to change my race, but I can identify as whatever I want. Think about it.
Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
This man right here is your father? Right there?
You have a question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was wondering if your dad really is an African American man.
That's a very... I mean, I don't know what you're implying.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of... I did tell you that, yes, that's my dad. And he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white?
So now this brings us to the story of the day, because Rachel is now identifying as an OnlyFans model. She's doing OnlyFans after this whole debacle of, even though I'm white, I identify as black, and you're supposed to accept that because that's what we do nowadays. We don't care. So the issue is that she's making these thousands of dollars a month on OnlyFans, but she's also teaching at elementary school. So it's a little issue with that. Like, hey, you're teaching our kids in elementary school. Why do you have this OnlyFans account? Which I'm kind of feel two ways about. If you keep it secret from what you do, if you're teaching at elementary school and they don't know, like the kids don't know, then that's one thing. If you are on OnlyFans or doing that type of sex work and you're teaching elementary school, there could be some conflict there. I'd rather that not happen, but I do understand people need to have their own lives and their own private time, and she is free to do what she wants to do outside of her employment. But I think there could be, you could have a tenuous issue here where, if it starts affecting her work. But she's a public figure, so obviously they're going to report on this. So here she is. I think they're saying, let me see, one post in September got 122 likes from subscribers, equating to $1,200. So she is on OnlyFans. Now remember, she's on OnlyFans as a transracial woman. So she's a black woman. She's a black woman who used to identify as white. So here are some pictures, with her at her job and doing other things, right? Images that she's sharing with parents in school in the back. So, here's even her OnlyFans page. So she's back and you got to make money, you do what works for you. But I do feel, I feel sorry for someone like this, because I think maybe she's just a couple of years too early, because I think this transracial thing is eventually going to catch on. I'm thinking people are going to just wake up and say, hey, if we can allow people to just identify at whatever sex they were, no matter what they look like or no matter what happens, then we got to go the other way, right? We have to then allow, if somebody is white and want to identify as black, they should identify as black. And really think about this, because don't forget, there are certain benefits that you can get only as a black, minority loans and so forth. So if someone can just on a form say, hey, I'm black, no matter what, then they'll be able to get all those benefits also. So, and I think that's key, because that's the reason why people just can't identify. And the same thing with women, right? If you're a woman, there are loans that only are available to women. But now if I identify as a woman, I can get those loans, right? So it becomes what's reasonable. Here's some more of her OnlyFans stuff. And again, this is clearly a white woman who wanted the benefits of being black, and she's got the benefits of being black, right? She's got it. She was the president of NAACP. She's doing all this. She got full benefits of her blackness. And now she's on OnlyFans getting some more of those benefits of being a former white woman who's turned black. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think I'm being too hard on this situation? Do you think my analogy of equating the transgender issue to the transracial issue, do you think that's a little harsh too? Because I could be corrected. I just honestly am going to say that transracial and transgender, to me, are the exact same issue, except we're talking about different things. Instead of talking about genitalia, we're talking about skin color. And because we're talking about two things that you cannot truly change. And if you're allowing people to identify as whatever sex they want to be, but not letting them identify as whatever race they want to be, I think there's an inconsistency there. You have to tell me why, in one instance, I can identify whatever sex I want, but I can't identify whatever race I want. It seems like we're being hypocritical in that way. So, again, let me know how you feel in the comment section. Let me know if you think this story is as crazy as I think it is. And my name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Peace.